everybody, how are we? Konsokija here. It's another day. And today I've got a special guest here. I will let them introduce themselves, and then I will introduce this channel. Come on, babe.
Yes. How are you? How is everyone? I'm Elijah. I'm a chef, and we are here to really talk about a few things.
Yes, what are you talking? Oh, let me actually do a bit of introduction. Yes, so how is everybody doing? So, as I said, I'm Konsokija. This is Inspire YG. Inspire YG. YG is an acronym for Young Generation. I pop in here once in a while and I share my journey. My journey as an international student moving from Kenya to Australia about a decade ago. And and so I pop in here once in a while and I brought this is my husband.
Yes.
Elijah. And so this is your second time?
Second appearance.
Second appearance.
Yes.
Well, I like the word appearance.
Yes.
Yeah, and from what is it called? Popular demand.
Yeah, with popular demand, I show up only on popular demand. So if they don't need me, I don't show up.
That's for sure. So clearly he's here on popular demand, and we love you here.
And to spice things up.
Yes. So welcome.
Thank you.
So everybody, I'm not sure where you're watching us from. This is going to be a very different kind of video because we are talking about matters Kenyan Finance Bill 2024. Elijah and I are born and bred and raised in Kenya, and we only moved to Australia a couple of years ago as international students to follow our dreams and to try and see what the world has to offer. Yeah. However, Kenya has always been home, and it's always going to be home, and there's nowhere like home. Yeah. East-West. Yeah. East-West, home is the best.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what they say.
You're from Thika?
I'm from Thika.
Yeah, I'm from Nyahururu.
Yes. So, yes, Adoa Kerema.
Yeah, Adoa like you, yeah.
Adoa Nyoba. Yes. So basically, so welcome. And if it's your first time here and maybe you're not from Kenya, because I know that I checked the analytics of this platform and I know I've got viewers from all over the world. So we will try and elaborate and hopefully we don't lose you. However, I know a lot of Kenyans who will watch this will probably relate with what we say because it's actually taking place right now in the country that we love the most. So, babe, what do you want to talk about? So we basically are talking about our views, how we feel about the finance bill, but not just the finance bill, but everything else that is taking place in the country. Yeah. So all the bills that have been tabled in Parliament that absolutely don't make any sense, for lack of a better word, or majority of the clauses don't make sense. However, all will affect Kenyans collectively. So we've, individually and collectively gone through the finance bill, at least to the extent of which we could. Yeah. Because as you know, it's a legal document and it has a lot of legal technical jargons.
It's very tedious. It's a lot of pages of law, like it's the law language. It's just difficult to even try and interpret.
Absolutely.
And I'm very sure a lot of Kenyans haven't even gone through it, or even they've probably gone half through it and just given up.
Yeah.
But it's worth reading it and knowing what you're entitled to and what's gonna happen if actually this bill goes through and
becomes law.
Yeah, and becomes law.
Yeah.
Because this is going to tie you for a year.
Absolutely.
At least for a year, because it changes every year. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could cover you for a whole more than 2 years.
That's for sure. So
it's a whole another burden that's going to be added onto you as Kenyans. It doesn't matter where you're based at, as long as you're a Kenyan.
Yeah, it will affect you.
Touches you.
Absolutely. So. They actually, even for Kenyans who are not in Kenya, there are actually taxes that were imposed on foreign currency. I'm not sure whether those are part of the amendments that were made. Yeah. However, if the cost of living goes up in Kenya and you still have family or friends in Kenya, you will still be probably sending money back home. Yeah. And you will realize that the prices of things will go up, the cost of living will go up, the price of property and everything else will be affected, even sending things back home. Yeah. The cost of the export?
Anything that's getting exported to Kenya as a finished product, it doesn't matter what.
Yes.
They don't really care.
Yes, there's a lot of things that we've learned. And like Elijah said, the bill, just reading, going through it, it's tedious. And I mean, I don't even have a law background. I know I've done business administration in the past, and I did one unit on company law, and I've done another unit in Australia on commercial law, but nothing can compare you to what the finance bill is. And
it's taken us the whole day to try and
decipher
go through a few things that we wanted actually to talk about.
Yeah.
But we haven't gone through as much as we wanted to.
No.
But already my head is hurting. Like, I don't want to see that bill.
I know.
But I have to go through it.
And it's like 100 and something pages. I think 130 something pages. And so to actually go through it extensively, it will take you forever. And I think it's like that by design, because when you think about the population, I mean, when you think about the Kenya, the demographic of Kenya, I don't think a lot of people have studied law. Obviously, it's just a fraction of Kenyans who've studied law. So to expect Kenyans collectively to understand all that technical jargon, it actually doesn't really make any sense. I think it's like that by design. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. We talk about governments having to come up with civil education so that they can, go out there in the community and help people understand what are the laws they're trying to pass, what are the laws they're trying to amend. But we don't see that, obviously. So I think it's like that by design.
Initially, what they were supposed to do was at least involve the public through public participation, as they call it.
Correct.
Which is obviously having people delegated to go and tell the community, okay, this is what the bill is comprised in the bill. This is what you are to expect in case this whole thing is voted in. But I don't think I saw any of that.
I mean, people are. Can you tell us in the comment section, please, if you have actually seen or have any evidence of any public participation? Because from what I see, I don't think there is any evidence out there of people who've actually been involved in those public participation.
Nothing has been seen. The only thing I've actually seen so far is until the Gen Zs and the millennials took it to the streets.
Whom I commend greatly.
Oh, man.
We just love you guys. Love you guys. And obviously, rest in peace to all those young people who've lost their lives because of this. And absolutely absolutely devastated that it had to get to this point, that it had to get to people losing their lives is absolutely just heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
So, because last, when was the first protest? The protest we had, was it last week?
It was last week when they had the second, I think they had the second reading. Yeah. I'm not quite sure when they had the first reading. I know they had to take the bill through what I understand are 3 phases before it goes to the president for the final signing. Yeah. However, all this happened when they were trying to go through it. I think this was it the second voting? Yeah, so basically it got to whatever it got to, and it's really sad that we have to talk about this. However, I wanted you to talk about what are some of the things that you picked up on. We are both going to talk about some of the things that we picked up on the finance bill that we thought, oh my God, this cannot be real. Yeah. And also some of the things outside of the finance bill, but are somehow or somewhat related. Yeah. And so for myself, maybe we just give a summary before I give it to you. Yeah. I really have an experience on actually having the experiencing excise duty imposed on some of the products I've sent to Kenya. And I will share some of those screenshots on my experience. This is last year after the finance bill 2023 was passed. And it was shocking when I had to pay $18,000 in taxes. I didn't pay for it. So I'll give a bit of an example of I'll give a bit of a story of how that went. So I want to talk about the Excise Duty Act. I want to talk about some of those products that have been, they were exempted before and now they brought them back through this finance bill. They actually want to put or to exact 16%. No, they're going through the
18%.
The 18% VAT, but also they will go through eco levy, what they're calling eco levy. Obviously, another added fee, and also I think the shipping fees.
Yeah, they've got the shipping fee, they've got the port fee, they've got the railway levy.
And the VAT still stands
and the VAT
on all these
still
products.
stands.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So I was quite fascinated and shocked by that as well, because it's almost like we've made 10 steps back as a country. But also, I really want to talk about the Land Act, and especially the what they're calling the Land Act, the amendment bill that is touching on lands in Kenya. And what do you want to talk about?
I think for me, it's just basically everything in general. Just picking bits and bits, because I didn't get to see most of the protests. I was at work when all this was happening yesterday. However, I was watching what happened last week, which was a very peaceful demonstration.
Absolutely.
But the amount of force that was exercised by the police officers on those kids, it was just gut-wrenching. It's uncalled for totally. We are all for good reforms and good taxes that are actually meaningful to the people. We are all happy for the government to put whatever taxes they can, as long as we are all living in our own means and everyone is happy to contribute to the taxes. But also the government has to make sure that this money is not getting lost through corruption and misappropriation of the funds.
Wastage.
Like in the offices, they're talking about they have all these crazy ideas on where to spend this money. The deputy president's office has to be renovated. The wife's office has to be built, and
how is that going to produce revenue?
It doesn't.
If actually they wanted to raise money so that they can fund the budget that they've got, how is renovating somebody's house or somebody's office about to generate the country's revenue? I don't understand. It's wastage of money.
Unless that office was a tourist attraction.
Even if it was, if they say there will be 2 giraffes and 2 elephants about to greet you at the door of the prime minister's, of the vice president's office, I can understand. There will be tourism there. But come on, man, it's ridiculous. We are still looking at the condition of so many public schools, how the state of that. They are not, they could even come up with, is it the school feeding programs that I'm hearing was scrapped off?
They're scrapping it off at some percentage.
Absolutely ridiculous. No regard for the citizens. If we're talking about let's raise this money, let's do something for the healthcare system, let's do something for let's make education free. President Mwai Kibaki came up with free, was it primary and secondary education? How did he manage? He was the president of Kenya. President Ruto is the president of Kenya. Why is it so impossible? I don't understand. If one president can do it, why can't you? And I'm just thinking, it's a bit ridiculous. It's a bit ridiculous going after kids who have obviously don't have jobs in Kenya because you as a government have not provided any of the jobs. And they have gone out of their way to find international platforms where they can actually make a living for themselves. And now you're trying to come and take something from that. Shame.
Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Literally, shame on you.
Get away from kids trying to make something out of social media. Get out of their way. You and your generation in that government, in those government positions, have actually failed this generation, and you have no. You just have no moral compass to go after the platforms they've created for themselves to make a living out of themselves. And telling people to take passports to go overseas or to go to the diaspora is the most ridiculous thing I've ever had coming from a head of state. Because like I said, East-West home is the best. I've been in Australia for 10 years, and I know for sure I love Australia, and Australia has provided me with some opportunities that I didn't get in Kenya that I wanted to pursue. But I know for sure I have friends who ever wanted to leave Kenya. And I know why they don't, because Kenya is a beautiful country. And when we have peace and you have we have good, the economy is good, and you can be able to survive, you have a job to wake up to, you have the capacity to go to school, that's the best place to be. Best weather, the camaraderie, the how people are happy. You cannot compare life in Kenya and life abroad. And also life abroad is not for everybody. So for a head of state to say and try and prove to young people that the only options that are there is to get a passport. And don't even get me started about trying to get a passport.
He called it workforce, work export. Yeah, they're exporting the workforce to other countries. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
I'm tired.
Why build someone's nation while you could be busy building yours?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I feel like President Ruto has got a lot of people around him who are misleading him in terms of the advice they give him. That is if actually he's given any advice, if he doesn't give himself the advice. But I feel like, why would that be one of the things that come out of your mind? Like telling other people's children to get a passport and leave the country where they were born, where their ancestors are, where their families are. Like that should be an individual choice to make, because life abroad is not easy. And back in Kenya, even when you don't have a job, somehow you can still survive because you have your family, you have friends, there are things you can do to survive. But when you're in a foreign land, you don't have a job, you're really homeless. Like, who cares? Nobody's there for you. You cannot compare those two options or choices.
Totally.
Yeah. So what did you see on the that caught your eye, or that made you feel like, goodness me?
Totally. One of the things that caught my eye was the fact that the government is about to tax people who are not making money whatsoever.
Oh my God, tell me about it.
You're not making even a 0 shilling at the end of the month.
Yes.
But the government is like, hey, you got to give me 300 Kenyan shillings. So that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
How are you gonna get that 300 Kenyan shillings if you're actually not working? So that's another added burden to the parents.
Absolutely.
On top of them having to pay their own taxes and having to keep a roof over your head and making sure you got food in the house, and all the other taxes that they're about to put on the citizens.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Shame on you.
And even if they had imagine if they had more, so that 300 bob is for children who are, or kids who are young people who are over 25.
Yeah.
So imagine a parent has got 3 kids or have got twins and they're all over 25 and they don't have a job or they just finished uni. So the parents needs to cough that 300 bucks for every child every month. How sustainable is that?
It just doesn't make sense. I think the legislators in Kenya, it's like they make laws half asleep. They're just half asleep. Or they're living in some other world and they think that people live in the same world as they are.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Do you know why I'm laughing? You cannot make this stuff up. As we are talking, I literally opened my email because there was something I wanted to share, and I just saw that the Kenya Revenue Authority, so this is the KRA in Kenya, has just sent me a certificate. They're calling it Amnesty certificate. That is from tax period of 2016 to 2016. The penalty amount is 2,000 and fine amount, I don't have a fine amount, and the total amount is 2,000. So they're saying, congratulations on honoring your agreement and paying your taxes. You are encouraged to remain compliant. No waiver and write-offs will be granted for any new debts. So basically,
I saw this, and I think we had this conversation.
Yeah.
Because they had a massive margin of people who are going to get the tax waivers.
Yes.
It's for the big businesses, I think. And we had a chat about this and we were like, okay, most of the people who actually own these big jobs and big businesses who are about to cough maybe from over 100,000 Kenya shillings from tax is basically the people who are in government.
Yes.
So them asking for a bit of leniency of up to 5 years of having to pay this tax, it's basically going to favor them.
Yeah, of course.
So someone like you who's owing 2,000 Kenyan shillings, they're giving you a month.
No, but the thing is they actually just waived it. I don't have to pay for it. No, they just waived it because they're saying congratulations on honoring your agreement of paying your taxes. So I'm not paying anything because this was I've been granted amnesty or fines. So this was when I was at uni. So basically what happened was, and I mean this, we are digressing, but what happened was when I was at uni, I got my KRA pin in 2011, and that was before I moved to Australia. But because I had already gotten my KRA pin, it showed that I should have been filing new returns. And I never knew about new returns when I moved to Australia in 2013.
Yeah.
So between 2015 all the way to 2019, just before the pandemic, they sent me all these things. They sent me all these letters that I needed to pay $2,000 every year between 2015 and 2019.
Okay.
And so I learned about the tax amnesty, the waiving thingy, and I applied for it. So basically they're sending me receipts to say that I'm not paying the tax.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, what was the other?
Me a bit work.
No, I'm not paying for anything. I had to write a letter. I addressed it to somebody in that office. I have no idea who it was, but clearly it has been honored, so that's good.
Okay. So I think it's your turn.
Yeah.
One thing.
So one thing, I actually said that, hey, we've been doing, I have a massive book. I'm going to try not to talk about everything that is here. But basically, I want to talk about, before I get into the land stuff, which I'm really passionate about and which are getting in my nerves, on my nerves as well, I want to talk about the excise duty. So there's something called Excise Duty Act. I didn't even know that. Excise Duty Act 2015, which was later revised in 2017, so had exempted some goods from excise duty. So excisable, it says excisable goods imported or purchased locally for direct use in the manufacture of sanitary towels. Those were exempted. So basically, I decided to buy some period underwear to donate to some kids in Kenya through my foundation. I have a Hakiki Foundation. I have a foundation called Hakiki Foundation. Yeah. You can check it out. I'll send the information in the description box of this video. However, I ordered some period underwear to send to donate to those kids. And in that box, I put a title date that I was sending back home and 2 bottles of moisturizing cream. Yeah. So the box go to Kenya. I used DHL to send it to Kenya. I'll put some screenshots, so I have some receipts. So I'll put a screenshot in as we go. So I sent this box to Kenya through DHL. So it gets to Kenya, and I don't hear from them for weeks. So I guess around the 3rd week or so, they get back to me and they say your parcel is here. However, you need to pay there's something that you have to pay before your parcel is released. And so, okay, I said, cool. So where is it? They sent me this. There was an attachment on that email. And so basically, I was sent through, or I'll just take you through what the email said. And quickly, just let's see, without making sure that this video doesn't get too long. So basically the email said, dear valued customer, this is to inform you of your shipment in transit under waybill number in subject through whatever. The shipment has been considered dutiable by the Kenya Revenue Authority and would be released subject to payment of duties and taxes as per attached pro forma invoice. So I'll attach the invoice as well so that you can see. Kindly make payments of the total requisite duties, taxes, levies, surcharges, and fees within 3 working days, effective from the date this letter is received. So
within 3 days, 3 working days?
Yes.
Doesn't matter if we got there or not, whatever day?
It doesn't matter.
So if it got there because of the
time difference,
if you're asleep, that counts as a
yes,
don't care.
They don't care. So basically, I get this letter and I get the invoice. So the invoice, actually, I will put the invoice somewhere here, and the invoice was charging me 18,800 Kenya shillings. So basically, I was paying customs duty. Around 8,800 for customs duty. I was paying customs tax, around 1,000 shillings for KEBS fees. I guess that is Kenya Bureau of Standards. The additional admission charges of around 5,000, and the VAT of 16%, which was around 2,978, just 200 shy of 3,000. And the whole amount came to 18,800. So I thought it costed me 12,000 Kenya shillings to actually buy the period underwear for the kids. The bottle of moisturizing cream must have costed me maybe $5, both of them. So literally, how much it costed me to buy all the items I had shipped in Kenya was cheaper than the amount of tax.
You're getting charged.
The total payable, inclusive of VAT, I was getting charged. So I wrote them an email because I am a social worker,
right,
and I believe in social justice, and I'm like, this is injustice, and I'm gonna fight for my rights. So I reached out to them, and when I reached out to them, this is what I told them. So I introduced myself and I said, thank you for your email. I'm writing to request the review of taxes imposed on the items I sent home. I have a receipt of the Australian Post representative asked me to put. I placed it on top of the box, which is one of the requirements. So, and in that, the receipt you put on top of the box, declaration form, and also you state the items that you're sending there and how much they cost. So, I told them, firstly, the amount quoted for me to pay in taxes is more than what I spent buying and shipping those items. Secondly, the period underwears are menstrual products, which I'm aware in 2004, through menstrual policy, became exempted from the value-added tax. And in 2011, Kenya also exempted imported menstrual product from excise tax. So with that in mind, I'm certain I shouldn't be paying taxes worth more than the 2 bottles of Red Wing moisturizer, customs fees included, given that the document and the box and the period underwears are not supposed to be taxed. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. When I sent this email, and I'll put it here so that you can read, this email, everything happened last year in April. So we are talking about them giving me, or putting these taxes on me last year based on Financial Acts 2023. So that is basically, and I don't even know whether whatever they're trying to propose in the Finance Bill 2024, or the levies they're trying to put on sanitary products, including eco levy, including shipping levy, excise levy, excise taxes or whatever, and VAT, all these things were not supposed to be there through the menstruation policy. Anyway, so when I did that, then all of a sudden, the billing details changed from 18,000 to 3,000.
Wow.
700. So basically, customs duty came down from 8,800 to 869. So they were charging me customs duty 10 times more. Guess what's going to happen when this finance bill changes? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the customs duty was actually 869 after I complained. Before that, it was 8,800. The other charge was admission fees. Their admissions fees before that, they were actually 5,000. After I complained, it went all the way down to 450. 450 shillings. Yeah, 450 shillings. The VAT, which was 16% initially before I complained, the VAT was actually 2,978. After I complained, the VAT came down to 391. KEBS charges remained the same at 1,000, and customs tax remained the same at 1,016 cents. At 1,016. So basically, it goes to show you that at that time, last year in April, I didn't even have an idea. None of us as Kenyans had an idea about the Finance Bill 2024 coming into effect. But back then, at least I knew something about menstrual policy. I knew something about the sanitary products not having, being exempted from the excise duty through the Excise Duty Act. And all those things have been scrapped off right now. So this is what is going to happen if you're trying to export things. Is it export or import? Export things to Kenya if you're outside, and vice versa. And I think it's just going to be a nightmare.
I'm actually wondering, so we went to Kenya last year, and we took a few things with us. And we got held at the airport for a very, very long time. And that was during the campaign of where Ruto had actually led the goons to run the airport, where they were going through everyone's bags, making sure that whatever is new in your bags has to go through inspection because you have to pay a certain amount to the KRA. So I'm wondering, is this going to happen the same way?
I think it's going to be worse now. I think it's going to be worse. And actually what had happened was we had a mobile phone.
Yeah.
I bought a mobile phone for my niece who had just finished class 8. And it wasn't even an expensive phone. They were trying to get you to pay taxes on phones like Samsung or iPhones, which are obviously expensive phones. I wouldn't have bought my niece an iPhone or an expensive Samsung. So basically, what I forgot to do was, which I learned now because I didn't even know at the time, the phone was inside the suitcase and it was in a box. So when the bag went through the conveyor belt and all that, they must have picked up through their system that there was a serial code there, and that's why they put a massive X on that suitcase and put it on the side.
Yeah, and we weren't actually the only ones, because a lot of people who were at the airport around that time, they were all complaining of how slow the service is.
Yeah.
Without knowing that actually almost to the exit, that's where everything is happening.
Yeah.
Because they were opening suitcases, they have this machine scanning all the suitcases and detecting anything that's actually new in the suitcases. And they have to actually pull it out.
Yeah.
So it shows you how much agony Kenyans are going to go through if this bill is amended and passed.
Yeah.
They're calling the people to rally behind the few things they've amended. But whatever they've amended is only very shallow. It's just a drop in
the ocean.
But if you go through that finance bill, you realize the amount of slavery that's inside that finance bill is just going to drag us down. Everyone.
It's like we're going back 20 times, like 20 steps back. And funny thing, I'll put a screenshot here because I did a video on period poverty, and Kenya is one of the countries that is really affected by period poverty. Is something that affects majority of countries around the world, especially developing countries. And not even to say that it's easy, because even in Australia, menstrual products are not cheap. Yeah. However, I did that video because I was so proud of Kenya, because Kenya was, I think, one of the very few African countries that had actually removed excise duty on menstrual products. And to think that we've come from that to now this, I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't even know what to say. Because it's almost like, I feel like this regime is politicizing women issues and politicizing women everyday things women have to go through. Politicizing women's reproductive system. Like, talking about we're not going to introduce excise levy on manufactured period products. How many period products are manufactured in Kenya? And how long do we have to wait for this government to actually come up with a system, create the environment, good infrastructure for the country to be able to manufacture these products, for us to be able to actually say, okay, we're actually manufacturing these things, producing these things, and so we're going to access them on a cheaper cost, but also grow the economy. For how long will we wait? And as we wait, what's going to happen? Because our reproductive system is still active.
It doesn't stop.
We're still healthy. I mean, so are we being punished for being women? Are we being punished for having menstrual products? Menstruation?
Yeah, sorry. I actually saw that a lot of women are actually very angry because they feel they're getting taxed more than what men are getting taxed. Because I think it was Honorable Millie Odhiambo who was asking.
Amazing woman.
We are getting taxed for being women.
Yep.
Why not tax the men on whatever they're wearing, the boxes and undergarments, whatever they're wearing as well? Yeah. Because the women are getting taxed on them being naturally who they are.
Yes.
And who they're born to be. But they feel like they're getting taxed twice more than the men are getting taxed for.
Absolutely.
And it makes sense because the government doesn't care. It doesn't care. It's what I mean. They're making rules and regulations that don't even make sense.
They don't serve the common wananchi. I don't even think whether they think about that. The shocking part for me, I have to admit, is all the women who voted yes. Yeah. All the members of parliament who were there and voted yes, knowing how these bills will actually affect every single person. But especially looking at the women, and where I talked about the political, them politicizing women issues. Look at even the diapers. That man, I think he was a chairman of this finance bill, and he's also the MP of Molo, talking about taking us back to the trenches. Like, how can he start talking about that the value of a woman was was placed on how clean their nappies were. Who talks like that? What are they called? Nappies.
Yeah, nappies. It's
like,
the guy, that honorable guy. Kuria.
Don't call him honorable. At this moment, he's not honorable.
He's
but
not. Kuria,
he is yes.
Kimani or something?
Member. I don't know his name. I know he's something Kuria, but I know he's a member of parliament. Yeah, for Molo. For him to stand up and talk like that, it made me so sad for the women around him and the women in his life. Because in this day and age, you're talking about advancement of technology. Women also want to work. Women want to go out and grow themselves and develop their careers. Yeah. You're talking about us staying home, washing diapers, like washing nappies. What are you talking about? Yeah. Like, can you create laws and can you create systems that can allow women to prosper the same way you're able to go to parliament and pass this kind of punitive laws?
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. So what else? So that was me, and I'll put those screenshots as we go, and I'll share a little bit about my experience and what I experienced last year trying to export menstrual products before they even passed this finance bill.
Yeah. The other thing that I saw was basically the addition on VAT. So it was 16%. Well, it currently is 16%.
Yes.
But if this goes through, it goes up to 18%.
Yes.
And on the finance bill, it says things that are actually going to be added on that VAT is one of the things people are actually talking a lot is the cancer, the cancer treatment. People requiring
specialty, or people who are requiring, like very specific health needs.
Yes.
For example, specialists. People requiring specialists like optometrists, dentists, or gynecologists, psychologists, and things like that.
So they were talking about, all these special services that are included that are not included in the general hospital, the VAT is gonna hit them hard because anything that's actually imported into the country is gonna be subjected to the 18% VAT, which means that it's gonna be so expensive to build these hospitals, equip them with the services and all the machines and everything.
Yeah.
So the person who's actually built the hospital or whoever the owner is, they are not going to charge less of what they've had to use to build that hospital.
That cost will be transferred to the patients.
Yeah, cancer treatment being the most expensive is going to be up there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that cancer is the only thing that should concern the Kenyans.
Yeah.
Anything else that's not given in the general hospital, like the optometrist, the dental,
optometrist, those, eye specialist,
anything special,
gynecologist, psychiatrist, anything that requires a specialist is actually going to be more expensive.
It's going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
So Kenyans should be really aware of this.
Yeah. And I think the reason why the thing about cancer patients or cancer treatment was maybe more prevalent, a lot of people are talking about it, is also because majority of the equipment or things that are needed were also being mentioned on the eco levy as well. Yeah. And we were talking about also things that could affect people with disability as well, because the eco levy also touches on things like I think this was it on the motorcycle? What was it? The eco levy, because they were talking about the wheels.
Yeah, the wheels.
The wheels on the wheelbarrows, the wheels on the wheelchairs and all that.
The motor vehicle wheels as well.
Yeah, they haven't exempted those yet.
Basically anything that is not environmental friendly.
Anything that is not recyclable.
Yeah. Anything that
not eco-friendly.
Yeah, and any wrapping or anything that's supposed to be consumed and it's in a storage.
Yes, is the storage that is not biodegradable. Yes. So basically, what we're hearing here is all sorts of technological equipment. And even some of the things that we consume, for example, like if you buy oil, yes, they have removed edible oil from the tap, was the excise duty. Yeah. However, have they removed it from eco levy? They haven't. So how do you buy your petroleum? How do you buy your oil? How do you buy your canola oil or vegetable oil? It's going to be in a bottle. Yeah. That bottle is actually going to incur an eco levy because it's not biodegradable. Yeah. So basically, majority of the things that we buy in the supermarket are going to skyrocket because you still have to buy you still have to pay for the eco levy, and they're not talking about that because that's a major thing.
It is a major.
That's
thing.
where they'll catch a lot of people.
They're only touching the basics. They're only concerned with the basics, and they've made it so hard for this bill to read because they basically know the amount of people who are actually gonna read it. It's our parents who are gonna read it.
Absolutely.
But thank God the Gen Zs and the millennials.
Oh, thank God.
They've gone full beast mode on this. The whole of TikTok is full of Gen Zs and millennials trying to analyze from A to Z about this whole bill.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of Gen Zs. I'm really so I even wish I was born a little bit, a couple of years back, so that I can be a Gen Z.
Honestly, it would feel super better.
Honestly, they have made us feel like they are Superman and Superwomen. And I mean, they are fearless. They are tribeless. They cut across. They don't even care about the political parties. They are not caring about having a leader. They don't care about all that politics. It's more about, let's talk about this finance bill. Let's talk about the oppression that is happening to our parents, the oppression that is happening to us, and what is going to happen to us in the future. Because remember, 10 years from now, if you're 25, you're actually going to be 35. So when you think about it, you probably be thinking about starting a family and things like that. And things that are in this finance bill will actually affect your future. So kudos to all the Gen Zs. Kudos to everybody.
And keep going.
Oh, man.
Do not stop.
So proud of them.
Even though we are overseas, and I'm very sure there's a lot of Kenyans who are not in Kenya right now. We are all trying to do what we can from back here.
Absolutely.
We're trying to motivate whoever we can. Whatever little money we are able to send back home to help whoever is injured or whoever is in hospital as due to the maandamano, unfortunately. We are trying to do all that as we can.
Absolutely.
We are all behind you, and we are keeping you in the prayers as well.
Absolutely.
That is as much as we can. So good job and keep going. Do not stop fighting for this, because this is going to be your future.
Absolutely. We're so proud of all the people out there, especially those young people, especially those ones on TikTok who did their due diligence and went through. I love it, especially one gentleman on social media. I think we were looking at going through his TikTok, and he was talking. He did so much research on it, and he was trying to tell Kenyans, hamujui ni nini na happen, like you don't know what is about to get to you. I'm not even a working tax group, and I know these things. Ninyi mumela too, so it's so proud to see like kids really, young people thinking about their future, but thinking about taking their future serious today.
Totally.
Yeah.
I wish we did that back in the days.
Man, I wish.
We wind up, but I think we had a good time, because I think for myself, I started maturing a little bit during Kibaki's tenure, which was it's considered as the best run in government.
Absolutely.
And I think something we saw that was so interesting about the Gen Zs, they were saying that they don't know anything about the Moi era. They have no idea. They've grown with the Kibaki era, and when education was free, so they got access to the best education, which was free. Yeah. And the CDF money was coming through. Absolutely. There's all these things happening back in the villages and all the good stuff. Yeah. So we had the highways. It's the Kibaki legacy. That's what. And we are actually calling this the Kibaki a legacy. When you think about it, to me, he must be I think, hands down, he will be so proud. And I think he will be the best president for me Kenya has ever had. And I think him being an economist, I can see why he made the choices he made at the time, and how that was amazing as well. So what is the next thing you're going to talk about? I think the next one, I'm just going to touch them really quick, just before instead of making it drag too long. Yeah. So we also have the high import fees, because there's another thing called the import fee. I don't think a lot of people know actually what the import fee is. No. So if you're bringing anything into the country, there's a fee for it, and it's separate. Yeah. It's totally separate from the VAT and everything else. Babe, actually, can we actually even have an idea? Like, can we just calculate from our basic knowledge right now?
if this finance bill was passed, what are some of those things? What are some of those levies and taxes that people will be imposed, like people will have to pay? Oh. And what are some of the things that might happen? Because we were talking about this, and from what at least we know for sure is that there will be customs duty, there will be customs tax, then there will be Kenya Bureau of Standards fees. There would always be admission fees, charges, depending on who you're exporting the things with. And there would always be a VAT that is actually subject to increment, 16% to 18%. Now you're saying there will be import fees, and depending on what it is that you're shipping to Kenya, it actually might also be subjected to eco levy. On top of that, something else that people don't know, from my experience shipping things, sorry, babe, I'm just going to add this because it ties in. Basically, I'm just going to talk about the person that I used to travel to send things to Kenya. This was DHL. And basically, what happened was they informed me that I had to pay the taxes, the levies, the surcharges, and fees within 3 working days. Now, failure to that, what will happen, and the other things that I needed to provide was obviously you will have to provide your KRA PIN. If you're a Kenyan citizen, if you're a non-Kenyan resident, you'll have to send them a data bio page of your passport for approval. You also need to know that for every day they keep your parcel in with them, you actually have to pay 25 shillings and 75 cents per kilo per day, with a minimum charge of 3,090 Kenya shillings exclusive of VAT. If they keep your stuff. Now, there's also a surcharge of 50 euros, VAT exclusive, which will be applicable for shipment that are not cleared through customs by the 21st day from the date of their arrival into the country. Upon the expiry of the 21 days, what is going to happen to your things, you may wonder. So let me tell you where your things will go. So it should further, it will be further noted that customs have granted a regulatory grace period of 21 days from the date of shipment arrival into the country for consignment to be cleared. Any clearance not finalized within the stated period will result in the shipment being transferred to the Customs Government State Warehouse. There's actually something called Customs Government State Warehouse. And this is where your things are taken if you actually don't collect them because you haven't paid tax or because you want to negotiate or whatever. And they're saying that they have to follow the customs licensed agent because they're a custom licensed agent, and they are obligated by law under Section 34, Article 1 and 4 of the East African Community Customs Management Act. Did you even know that was a thing? Of 2004. And the subsidiary registration revised edition of 2012 to deposit any and all uncleared goods to the customs warehouse after the period of 21 days from the date your things arrive in Kenya. Wow. And they are not liable if your things are taken to so this is what they say, they will no longer act as a clearing agent or accept liability whatsoever for any loss or damages of your goods as a result of them being transferred to the General Customs Government State Warehouse for Other House, located within Jomo Kenyatta International Airport under Nairobi Customs Services supervision. Wow. So some people might end up actually losing their things. The other things on top of the import fees I would like to mention is, depending on the nature of goods that you're shipping to Kenya, you could actually be subjected to the Kenya Bureau of Standards. They might actually look at your things. Certificate of conformity, quality control certificate, they might ask for that. You could also be subject to the guys from the Pharmacy and Poison Board permit, doctor's prescription, Anti-Counterfeit Agency, Import Authorization Certificate or a letter, Dairy Board permit, Energy Regulatory Authority permit, Communication Authority of Kenya permit, Port Health Certificate, or Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate permit. So either of these boards, or either of these, whatever they call them, they could actually stop, they're called regulatory agencies. They could actually stop your shipment to check whether whatever you're shipping to Kenya applies to them. And you could pay more,
and do you know what?
Fees.
To make it worse, there's three more levies that we haven't talked about.
Which are?
Now they're gonna, so after all this you've added here,
yep,
they are adding the railway levy.
Yes. There's
which is
railway
supposed
levy.
to be there. I don't know what the railway levy has to do with my exports. I don't know.
Coming by air.
It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
And also there is a port levy.
Yep.
If anything is coming through the port.
Yeah.
I think.
So by the time you are done, by the time you're getting the email that your shipment has landed in Kenya, the amount of levies and surcharges and taxes that will hit you.
And then talk about the corruption.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because now, if you are actually not able to pay all this, and you actually want your things to get out as quick as many Kenyans try and do,
it's going to be
the
loopholes.
amount of money you're going to have to pay is going to be crazy.
Absolutely.
It's going to be crazy because this already makes it hard for you to get your property.
Yep.
From wherever is shipped to, through the port, through the DHL and whoever.
Yes.
But if you want them done quickly, if you have to use the wrong route of the corruption,
yes,
then you can imagine how much money you're going to have to pay.
It's going to be a nightmare. It's really going to be a
We
nightmare.
are not safe anywhere.
No. It seems like at the moment literally I think what's going to happen is, like, who knows, but I think this is obviously going to affect the economy, because, as you know, a lot of Kenyans consume a lot of things which are imported in the country. Yeah. We do a lot of importing, and there is really not much manufacturing or production that happens in the country or that can actually cater for all the millions of Kenyans in Kenya. And so definitely the country relies on importation. And I understand, and I really try to understand the analogy of we are trying to, Kenya for Kenya. However, let's be honest, like, you haven't created a conducive environment where people can actually invest, where people, and actually that's what you're killing right now.
Killing the investments.
Killing the investments, killing the, production and manufacturing opportunities, killing businesses. How are you supposed to thrive where the economy is crashing? How are you supposed to tax people when pockets are empty? Like, unless you create those opportunities and unless you make the country favorable to raise revenue or to raise for people to be able to just survive, like, I don't know, you're not going to get much from people being on survival mode. So
they're talking about a lot of businesses that were actually based in Kenya having to move to other East African countries, because that it's more favorable being in Uganda or Tanzania or even Rwanda than whatever is being offered in Kenya right now. Because all these levies and charges, and then the government making it hard for the businesses to run because of the so-called kanjos.
Yes,
it can't thrive.
So I don't really see, unless this bill doesn't pass, and I don't know why it's so hard, because the country is not even run by a finance bill. We already have an appropriation bill, so the country can still run. It's not that if this finance bill doesn't pass, it's not like the country will stop. So I don't know why it's made it's made to appear like it's oxygen for us that this thing has to pass. It doesn't have to pass, and Kenya cannot. And citizens of Kenya can actually not be working for the International Monetary Fund. That is the work of the leaders, to actually stop wastage, live within your means, minimize expenses, because isn't that logic? Like budgeting 101. Basically, if you don't have enough revenue, you don't have enough money, just reduce your expenses, reduce the amount of expenses in your budget, and then you will see that when you live within your means, you actually probably see that you have enough to work with for now, as we try to grow the economy and get somewhere where you can actually be able to get more taxes. But I don't even think taxes will be the only thing that will grow the country. You have to think about manufacturing, production, creating a good environment for people to thrive, in businesses and what have you. So someone said a very good thing: we cannot tax ourselves into prosperity.
No. I think Ruto and his regime, they feel like, because they have to raise the 3 point something trillion Kenyan shillings to pay their, all this public debt that they have, which is almost like, how much public debt do we have? 55% of the GDP.
Which is ridiculous. I think it's even more. I think it's even
ridiculous.
more. And the weird thing is,
no, 68% of
it's
the
60.
GDP.
Yeah, it's 60
higher
something.
than that of the 55 of the GDP that actually the IMF recommends.
Absolutely.
We are all we are over our means.
Yes.
So this is the IMF actually telling Kenya, you need to watch your budget. You need to work on strategies how you are going to go down from where you are right now. And these are the repercussions.
Yeah.
Because whoever I feel is up there is not really consulting with everyone else or the stakeholders and be like, okay, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
We're in a mess. Help me fix it.
Yeah.
But the cronies that he's got around him, they are of no interest to the Kenyan society.
And they're not helping.
They are all about what can
themselves. Yeah, it's about themselves. It's a meme kind of. What I'm saying with they are what? Kenya Kwanza?
Yeah, the Kenyan
government.
Yeah.
They are the majority in the government. They seem to be like a meme kind of, community. And I don't know. I mean, it sounds ridiculous that people can actually vote you in. You go and make so much noise, cause so much noise pollution on top of your vehicles, and go and find kuras and campaign in those local, in your areas of representation. And they trust you. You build rapport with those people, they trust you. They take you to parliament to go and represent them. You sit there, you take a bahasha and put it in the pocket, and you go and vote yes. And then you really think you're really going to go back there and say hi to those people and they welcome you back with open arms. So it's ridiculous, because I think whatever this regime is doing is as if I feel like you are there to represent yourself. And then after you're done, I don't know which home you go to. Clearly not to the home of the people who voted you, because I don't think those people want to see you.
They don't want to.
Because you're not representing their interest. You're representing your own selfish interest. Yeah. So there's a lot of these people, funny characters, who I think will actually be serving one term. And I think they probably just killed or destroyed their political career. And also just destroyed their legacy. Yeah. It's a huge shame that you're put there as a member of parliament to represent your constituents, the people who took you there to represent them. But then you get there and it's almost like you're showing them you don't care.
Who's your MP?
Oh, don't even remind me. Alice Nganga. I am very ashamed of you, madam. All I see you do is dancing. Dancing is good for your health, but I feel like dancing is the only thing you're going to be doing after 2027, because I'm very sure a lot of people in Thika are not happy with you. I had so much faith in her, because I've only voted in Kenya once, and then obviously I moved to Australia, and I voted for her back in the day. But I feel like, she has really, being a woman, I mean, I'm sorry, but you need to really look yourself in the mirror and be very ashamed that you can do that to a lot of girls and a lot of women who will struggle to actually access, quality menstrual product and access good quality diapers for their children. You put there to represent people in Thika, and you have really let them down. And a lot of these members of parliament in Kenya Kwanza, you've let the people who put you there down. You should be really ashamed of yourself. And I really am convinced some of you have really ruined your career forever. For how much did you get? You sold yourself, you sold your dignity, you sold the people who trusted you for only how many millions? 2 million, 3 million? That's all you're worth? Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous.
My name is Stephen Karani. You people, you let the whole of Laikipia West down, and we are so disgusted by whatever you did and passing that bill to IS. We are so shocked, and I don't think his political career he's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
The people in Nyahururu, they've totally lost faith in him.
Yeah.
And this is it. I think from the presidency all the way down to whoever said yes on those constituencies, they are a one-term individuals.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah. And I mean, I think now they've seen with the Gen Zs, this is the last time you're doing politics on tribal lines, that you're going to divide people based on your agendas and all that. People are now smart. Back in the day, there was never technology for people to actually see what you're doing. Yeah. There was never all this access to information left, right, and center. People can actually see for who you are. And history has I mean, what is this? History repeats itself.
It does.
But we will never forget, because all this is actually being recorded. It's being documented. So I think we'll stop it there, but we're going to do a part 2 where we'll be talking about some of the things that you might have left some things.
Yeah.
And I also want to really talk about the Land Laws Amendment Bill 2024, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about it because I'm passionate about land. I'm passionate about real estate, and I know land banking, the importance of land banking, but what they're trying to do with everything they're trying to pass through the Land Act doesn't make sense. So we'll do another video and talk about all those things that we haven't mentioned. And like we said, we want to say pole sana for all those who lost loved ones and family members. And we hope that it doesn't have to get to this. And we hope that we can see the end to all this and everything that is happening in Kenya. So thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. If it's the first time tuning in, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment, and let us know how this Finance Bill 2024 you reckon will actually affect you and your loved ones, and what you don't like about it, and even share what you like about it if there's anything at all. So thank you so much for popping in. Thank you, baby, for coming.
Thank you very much, and keep pace, and Gen Zs and the millennials do not stop.
Absolutely. Keep going. We are so proud of you. We are like your big and small bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
big sisters and
big big bros and sis. We appreciate you so much, and thank you for what you do and what you're doing. God bless. Until the next one. Bye.
Ruto Ashuke.
Reject Finance Bill 2024. Reject.